What's up, everyone? Welcome to the second Syndicate. We are live and direct from our studio here at Spartan Events. My name is Alicia Garcia. I am the Boomstick Babe. This is my co-host and friend, Teddy of Spartan Events. We have a great show for you tonight. We have Sheriff Jason Mikesell. We keep messing up his name. We keep wanting to call him Mike, but his name is actually Jason Mikesell.
Gubernatorial candidate to replace good old Polis.
He just wants to say gubernatorial.
So, sir, we know you're running for governor. We know you're the sheriff of Teller County. We know that you're former military and you've served your country in many capacity. You've seen everything going on here. Give us a little brief introduction about yourself, and we'll get into some of the topics. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
And welcome.
Welcome. I've only been in law enforcement. I was never in the military.
I'm sorry.
Nope, that's fine. I've worked with a lot of military and done a lot of training, but straight law enforcement. So
trained. That's right.
But no, my name's Jason Mikesell. I am running for governor of the state of Colorado. I've been a sheriff or in law enforcement for 28 years. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses throughout the United States, and I'm just happy to be on your show tonight.
Well, we're happy to have you. So
Yes,
just for everybody out there watching, we want to engage with you on the chat. I have my laptop or my iPad up here so we can see you in the chat on YouTube.
And that's why I touched my phone.
Giving everybody a heads up so you don't feel like we're not paying attention to you. Alex the Truck just donated $2 to a super chat and said, Mikesell for governor. That is so awesome. Thank you so much, Alex the Truck. Shout out to him. Round of applause.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that.
Round of applause in the comments.
We are just going to jump into all the things that are going on here in Colorado and just start talking about what we're going through. So we have had a very, very big day at the Colorado State Capitol. Just to give everybody a synopsis of what's going on, I think there was 4 gun bills being heard at the Capitol today. We had a public hearing for the HB 25-1250, which is the mandatory gun curriculum, basically anti-gun narratives being force-fed to parents and students in schools. Mandated by, of course, all the gun grabbers down there at the Gold Dome, and it's in a coincidence with the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. So we have a lot of people that think the Office of Gun Violence Prevention is good for gun community, is actually very bad, because what they are doing is trying to force feed basically all of Colorado and make recommendations to the CDC and legislators on why guns are bad.
They're trying to indoctrinate our youth. Part of that curriculum is actually teaching children and parents how to red flag other people.
Basically.
So, yeah.
The second one that was on the Senate floor today is by Representative Woodrow, HB 25-1225. It is basically saying the Second Amendment Gag Act, as RMGO was calling it. So it's basically freedom from intimidations. They're trying to propose that being in possession of a firearm in a polling place or any place that government stuff is being conducted or election stuff is happening, that if you have that gun, you can get charged with intimidation or harassment or being threatening or coercing people on how to vote or to sway their vote. This is actually already illegal in Colorado to carry firearms in polling places and things of that nature, but this is a way of Stephen Woodrow telling the people that having a gun can be perceived as dangerous and that we are intimidating people and we're threatening people being in possession of a gun. It's BS. It's crap. We also had Senate Bill 25205, which is it was on the House floor for second reading. The local serial number database mandate that would serialize all firearms, and people would now have to basically register their firearms so they could trace them back to you, which is disgusting. We have a bill being heard tomorrow on the Senate floor for the second reading, HB 25-1314. That is a very, very, very dangerous bill. Everybody should be aware of this. This is basically giving ATF power and law enforcement power to the Colorado, Revenue?
Department of Revenue. It would make Department of Revenue agents law enforcement officer, peace officers, and arm them.
That is terrifying. If you don't understand what that means,
it's basically the equivalent of getting the IRS guns, just to give you an idea.
Well, it would give these people the ability to investigate and arrest you and prosecute you based on really, really ridiculous things. We don't really want to get too much into this. I just want to get everybody a big picture perspective of what we're dealing here in Colorado. There's a lot of public hearings scheduled for a 4/28. Also, it is the state disposal of firearms, protection order, privacy violations, and self-read flag bills, which these are also very bad, but it is a lightning round right here in Colorado when it comes to gun control. So please stay with us. Please continue to support the Second Syndicate so we can investigate these bills, we can testify against them, and we can also plan what we need to do in order to get these horrific politicians out of office. We realize now that they have every intention of turning Colorado into Safari State and robbing us all of our Second Amendment rights. So you can go to our links in our bio, you can donate, and you can follow us on all our platforms, share our content, hit the bell, hit the subscribe button, and continue to support us here. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. And just so you guys know, the legislative session is over in 13 days?
13 days.
We got 13 days. We're in those last 10 days where they start suspending the rules and pushing through crazy bills. There is still the rumor out there that they are going to introduce a armory bill, I believe is what the name is going to be on it, which would limit the amount of guns you could purchase in Colorado and or own, as well as create a state-wide registry. If that does not get introduced in the next few days, we will see it next legislative session. So the planning to fight next legislative session in January starts now. But yeah, Sheriff Mikesell, thank you for coming on with us tonight, sir. I know you're running for governor. Tell us a little bit about your campaign, things that you want to do to be able to limit some of this onslaught to our civil rights we're seeing in Colorado and make Colorado a better state for everyone.
Well, I listen to all these bills you're talking about, and I deal with them on a daily basis. But there was bills introduced today that I don't even know about, right? Because they're just pushing these things over and over and over. And the mouthful of understanding that, when I used to send my kids to school, it was to go to school. It was to learn math and reading and understand algebra and things that were normal kid things. And now look at it. It's become really a war zone, and that's pulling our kids apart, and it's pulling families apart. And then there's directives to really assault kids in schools to bring political agendas forward. And really, we shouldn't have political agendas in school. We shouldn't have social agendas in school. That should be the one area kids shouldn't have to worry about this and be constantly pushed. Gun bills. I can talk all day about gun bills because I'm just sick of hearing every morning when I get up that lawful Americans and lawful Coloradoans are facing the fact that they're going to have to pay to keep their firearms, pay to keep their 2A rights, that the onslaught of bills is really, it's taking away your lawful ownership and creating criminals every day. And as a sheriff, it's driving me up the wall listening to it. So
they're making criminals out of us when we're doing everything they're asking us to do. And yet those that are truly criminals are getting away with literally murder.
And
criminals
you
don't
talked
care, right?
about financial means to exercise their constitutional rights. What's the difference in this and a poll tax, which is unconstitutional? We're seeing all these fees. In fact, there's no cap to this fees. You and I were talking about this before the show, is that all these agencies are just able to increase the fees for whatever reason they want. I mean, we saw background check fees go up, which are provided for free by the FBI, but now they've gone up from $12.50 to $15 here in the state of Colorado for us that we have to pay every single gun that we do as an FFL. It's just insane. They just keep piling on on top of the 6.5% excise tax and everything else. It's insane.
Is Pittman-Robertson tax in addition to that. Now then you have to wait 3 days to obtain your firearm. I am the plaintiff in that case Garcia versus Polis, so we're still fighting that. You have to basically ask permission now for anything that we're going to do. You're going to have to ask permission to buy ammunition. You're going to have to be asking permission to purchase certain types of firearms. At this point, and I keep getting asked this by so many people that realize that I'm in the gun industry, is when is enough? When do things escalate? Because a lot of people are fed up, and I'm concerned that there are people, especially in rural Colorado, that are sleeper cell people, that they are very, very well versed in violence. The reason that they want to be left alone is because they're versed in violence. They're not harming anybody. But at this point, a lot of people are at the end of their wits.
There's a lot of people out there, and just to be clear, we don't advocate for anything like that. We've just been hearing chatter like that, and it's a little scary.
Well, I think that that's exactly what the left wants. They want to say, hey, look at these violent people, look at these crazy people, and make us look even worse than we are. And they're pushing people to limits that at some point people are going to lose it. And I'm concerned about that because I want peace. I want to live peacefully. I want to go home at night and, watch shows with my dog and cuddle up with my family and chill. And it's getting to the point now that just by speaking out or being resistant, same in your position, if you're vocal and you resist any of these things, you have a target put on your back.
Well, and I think, and here's what's happened in Colorado for years and years. A lot of people complain about these issues, but how many were voting,
Yeah.
right?
That's true.
The problem in Colorado is that people that want change have to vote. And we have to, there was a push saying, hey, we don't believe our votes count. Well, they counted in this last election. Your votes have to count. And I think in Colorado, we have to get people to stop thinking like that and really get to thinking we need to go in and vote to change things. And we need to put people in office that can change things.
Absolutely.
And think about being a governor in Colorado.
Shout
Would
out
it be
to X America News right now. We are live over there as well as on YouTube. Shout out to everybody out there in the audience watching. Thank you, X America News. We are now on their platform to bring you more uncensored free speech when it comes to the Second Amendment. So we're very proud to be a part of that and bring that information to everyone out there.
Just to be clear, we are focusing on Colorado tonight in this episode. We will talk about national news with 2A as it comes available, but people ask, why is Colorado matter to me if I live in Texas or if I live in Nebraska or if I live in New Mexico? Well, because we are becoming a sample ground, the testing ground for these anti-gun bills to see if they can hold constitutional muster, to see if they can hold judicial muster, and they will be coming to a state near you as some of these states start to turn purple and blue. I mean, New Mexico introduced a bill almost identical to ours this legislative session.
So did Washington.
So did Washington State.
You're seeing also what's happening in stereotypically red states, that they're being invaded by this rhetoric and this ideology as well. And I'm a very live and let live person. I was talking to the sheriff the other day on the phone, and I was saying, we would love to get behind getting you elected and getting you in office. And we were talking about some of the concerns of that. And I said, hey, I wonder if a lot of people think you're way more conservative than you are. You're actually very moderate on a lot of things. And we said, well, we would love to have you on our show so we can discuss those things and kind of bring that to light to normalize stuff. I'm Latina. My name is Alicia Garcia. We were raised to be afraid of the popo, man. We were raised, we don't talk to the cops. We don't work with cops. But also my favorite uncle, shout out to him, was Captain Kelly of the Denver Sheriff's Department for many, many years. So I grew up with a sheriff very, very close to me, and I got to see the two sides of how that works. And what I didn't realize is that sheriffs are elected. They're not the way people perceive law enforcement as cops. Sheriffs are elected by the people and put in positions of authority because the people want them there. So could you explain that for everybody else watching so they understand the difference of what law enforcement is and what sheriffs are and what cops are?
And also, what makes you different than other people who are going to be running for governor here, or that are running for governor?
Well, there's a lot in those two questions. So I'll just start with, here's the thing about being a sheriff. You are elected by your people, and you really, once you're elected, you govern or you are in charge of Democrats, Republicans, and independents. It doesn't matter to us. When I come to your door for something, it doesn't matter what you are. It matters what we do and how we treat you. And I think that's one of the biggest things for sheriff's departments is that we're the closest to our constituents, right? And wouldn't it be nice to have a governor that actually was close to their constituents? We see that every day. Here's the thing about being a governor for me in the state of Colorado. I think listening to all of the people of Colorado to have those discussions with, because you got to understand, there's two-way rights for Democrats, Republicans, independents. They all want their two-way rights. Look, Pueblo is a prime example. Pueblo is a very democratic place, but
Indeed.
They love their guns and they also love their two-way. And I think all around, I think people just want common sense back in Colorado. And I think that's one of my biggest concerns. And I woke up one morning and I went, how do we end up with almost 700 bills last year, almost 600 some bills this year, with a legislature that's just out of control?
No
How
joke.
do you do that as a governor?
And spending that's out of control, sir.
And spending. We're $1.3 billion in the hole, and it's going to get worse. Because that's we have a shortfall, right? There's a shortage of money. So what happens with a shortage of money if you keep spending? It gets worse.
It gets worse and worse.
And we're seeing that. So what really is happening is that we are losing our Colorado right in front of our eyes. And I know the morning I woke up and decided I wanted to be a governor, it wasn't because I love the power, I love the authority. It was the fact I want to give that authority back to the people. And I want to make sure common sense comes back, right? And that's for everyone. I want my grandchild to be able to live free and actually have the ability to go to school and not have the issues she's seeing now or would be seeing. I want the ability of people that are lawful Colorado citizens to be able to do what they want. I want criminals in jail. I don't
Yeah.
want criminals rolling the streets, creating more havoc for us. This is what people don't realize about Colorado right now. We're the third most violent state in the United States. We are way above the national average for sexual assaults on women and violence throughout Colorado. We have so many people driving without insurance on our streets because they just can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
They can't afford it. And the common person in Colorado with the fees, the hidden fees, you go down to DMV right now and you try to get a license plate and you haven't gotten it for a year because you didn't have the money to, you're going to get another $100 fine.
Yeah.
On top of that, you're driving on roads that are horrible. And if you pull over into the HOV lane or one of the other lanes, you're going to get taxed for it with a fee that shouldn't exist because you've already paid for that thing. So those are all issues that are a serious concern for all of us. And I think it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, we've got to work together as Coloradoans to fix it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And, that's something here at the Second Syndicate that we are trying to do is bring a coalition of 2A people together that goes beyond party, because it shouldn't be a party issue. It should be a civil rights issue. It should be a constitutional right. It should be open to everybody, no matter what their political affiliation, their race, their gender. It doesn't matter. The 2A should be for all. But yeah, no, that's good to hear. What do you plan to do? We've only got a few minutes till we have a commercial break, so I don't want to get too far into it. But what's day one look for you like, sir, when you're in office, when you get elected governor?
I've been in multiple leadership positions, and the first day I walk in and I start looking to see what's going on. I want to know where things are the right and where they're wrong. I have an understanding where they're wrong now, right? We need to realign a lot of our divisions and a lot of things in Colorado back to what they originally were for, and that's for health and safety. That's not for overspending in those areas. It's not for social programs. It is for health and safety matters. That's what governor is supposed to do. And then realigning things back to local control, so it's not developed and stays within the state of Colorado in Denver. And I think that's where things have to realign quickly.
Absolutely. Well, very good, guys. How long do we have, Carl? Okay, so we're going to go to a quick commercial break from one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back here with you with more of the Second Syndicate.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
All right. Well, we are back. I want to get back to the question that we had a bit earlier, that I don't think a lot of people understand that cops are not elected officials. Those are people that apply to a job and become a cop to be law enforcement. But sheriffs are actually elected. So tell us a little bit more about the difference between regular cops and sheriffs, and where the jurisdiction ends and begins, and the difference of the law enforcement branches.
Sure. So I think you're talking about policing forces, and then
Yes.
state police or state law enforcement, and then you have local sheriffs. And here's kind of the differences. In the state of Colorado, under the state statute, the state law enforcement, we were never supposed to have a policing law enforcement agency, right? They had specific duties, and that's what they were designed to do. In the police under a city, they have a charter that they work under, and they really handle within the cities, and they deal with what's happening on the ground, but they're actually created by a municipal council, so a city council. Then you have sheriffs, which is really kind of the highest enforcement level within a county. Now, it depends too, because some cities are what's called home rule, some cities are what's called state, under state statute authorities. But really, a sheriff kind of supersedes all of that. And you'll get police departments that say, no, that's not true. That's not how it works. But really, a sheriff deals with fires. They deal with a hazmat for the counties, especially in smaller counties, less than 100,000 people, in cities. So a sheriff really is what I like to call a CEO of a county to a degree when it comes to the law enforcement sector, and really how we deal with those things. So, but since the sheriff is actually identified and voted on by the people, we still work with all the different agencies within the counties, but we're really set up for dealing with the jails. That's why you see the immigration issues throughout Colorado. Okay. And what sanctuary cities really deal with is actually a sheriff's control or authority to deal with things inside of a jail. That's really where sanctuary cities came from. So there's a lot to do with, and a lot of information as to what a city police department does in comparison to what a sheriff's department does, to what a state department of regulation or regulators, as you talked about earlier. So for me, a sheriff is of the people, by the people, and then for the people of Colorado. That's what he's designed for. And our ultimate push is to be a peacemaker. That's what a sheriff is.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. So we were talking about a bill earlier that would give law enforcement capabilities to, what is the Department of Revenue?
Department of Revenue agents.
How would that affect your role as a sheriff as well as a role as a governor?
Well, I think as a role as a sheriff, I'm concerned about that because really we deal with the citizens in a law enforcement capacity within our counties. You do have Department of Regulation or different like liquor enforcement or marijuana enforcement. They do carry firearms. They do go to places, but they're more auditors, right? That's what they do.
Sure.
Whereas what you're talking about is a little bit more directed towards the gun industry.
Yes.
Last year, they pushed a law that said CBI was in charge of any type of gun crimes, but we had the first right of refusal, basically, right?
So to those out there listening, CBI is the Colorado Bureau of Investigations.
Yeah. So they took that and they've created that to be an enforcement arm, which really was never designed to be an enforcement arm.
Correct.
But what happened is that in the last few days, having these discussions, CBI was never developed to be that. CBI was developed to be an investigative branch of the state of Colorado that assisted sheriffs and police departments in dealing with crimes. Right now, CBI is so backlogged on DNA samples that would assist us in completing crimes and solving homicides and rape cases and all kinds of different crimes. They can't keep up because they want to keep pushing money
circle
to
back
the
to that.
enforcement piece, which really is wrong. And as a governor, I want to see them get back to where they should be, which is strictly an investigative unit to assist law enforcement.
Yeah, I remember during the legislative session, one of the hearings for SB 003, if I remember correct, it was the first one. CBI's, I can't remember their title, but they were one of the head people for CBI was there essentially asking for a fiscal note in SB 25-003 to give them an extra $2.5 million in funding because if someone was arrested for having a non-compliant firearm or something of that nature, they would have to facilitate the testing of which, and they talked about how far behind they are on doing things like DNA testing and things of that nature. And I remember that they were admonished and spoken down to by good old, our buddy over there.
Sullivan?
Yeah. Tom Sullivan actually chastised them, told them, why are you asking for this? You don't need this, yada, yada, yada. It was a very interesting conversation, but they managed to take that out of the fiscal note.
Here's why they did that with that fiscal note. Because at Tabor, they could not use general fund money, right? Correct. So that's why they didn't want anyone to know they were going to use dollars and cents out of the general fund, your taxpayer dollars, because we're already $1.3 billion behind.
Yep.
And
that's
Governor Polis promised he wouldn't sign a bill that added to the deficit.
Absolutely. And that's why they moved it to CPW to steal Pitkin Robbins money to be able to push this bill, and then they also put it over onto local municipalities and counties to have to pay for the cost of these things.
So for everybody out there listening, what Pittman-Robertson is in 1937, they imposed a federal excise tax on guns and ammunition to protect parks, wildlife, and conservation.
Conservation efforts. You pay it on every firearm and every box of ammo you purchase, whether you know it or not. It's baked
And I
into
believe
the
it's
price.
11% tax.
It's 11 to 15, depending on whether it's ammo, pistol, or rifle. So all in all, with the 6.5 exercise tax, we're paying the 6.5% excise tax. We're paying at the state level, the 11 to 15% we're paying at the federal level, the 8.2% we're paying at the sales tax level, and then on top of that, you have licensing fees and all these other things for FFLs. You're paying close to about 25 to 30% on a firearm and tax rate. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of them are hidden fees, right?
They are.
They don't want people to know that they're having to pay that kind of money for what they're getting.
But what it does is it creates a classist bias against people that are truly in need. Because if you're already coming from poverty, you're already in high crime areas, you're already hurting for money because, hey, guess what? Those people that we were just talking about earlier, those are the people that can't afford to pay insurance. They're making a decision if they feed their family or they have insurance for the month. And they have a need for self-defense above all others because they're in high-risk areas of high crime because of the way that we're protecting criminals in Colorado in the first place. Now it's putting in a significant barrier on them from being able to even obtain a firearm.
Yeah, and the only people that are paying these taxes are the law-abiding citizens. Sheriff, I'm sure as sheriff, when you confiscated, or not confiscated, but took into firearms into evidence, the majority of them were illegally possessed or illegally used or legally purchased somewhere outside of a standard FFL store type purchase.
Fees are just another name for taxes, someone in the chat said. What was perfect.
Sorry, Sheriff, you were saying something. Go ahead.
That's exactly what it is. But here's the thing, too. Remember, I said that the national, we are way above the national average on sex assault on women. Well, think about that. You have a young single woman that wants to get a firearm to protect herself because of it. You've got a young single mom that's gone through a domestic violence issue or something else that truly has an issue, and they can't buy a firearm for 3 days, which is already an issue. And then on top on that, on 003, it could take them up to 6 months to get a firearm because they got to go through a class to use it. Where really they needed it the day before when they got a restraining order, they had an issue. And so what's happening is we're creating more victims in Colorado by not giving them the rights to protect themselves.
So we were asking this earlier when we were offline exactly what an executive order a governor can do right now, because even if you were to become governor, you would still have to deal with finding a way to
get rid of this bill without legislative action, because the chance of us retaking the governorship, retaking the House and the Senate, all three in one election, are pretty slim. So we have to think creatively. So is there anything that you can think of that we might be able to do, whether it be limiting fees from these departments to zero or anything of that nature?
Well, I think, first of all, you have to strike a balance, right? Colorado has no balance. It's all one side. It's one party, and it's really the very right side of the party that are pushing these issues out of Denver. Second of all, we need a governor that walks down to the legislature, sits in a meeting and goes, you can push this bill all you want, but I'm not signing it. So let's come up with an actual solution to something. And then you also need a governor that's going to make them do stakeholder meetings, real stakeholder meetings, not some drummed up. I asked one person, they won't tell you who it is. There needs to be some form of common sense where we actually sit down with people and actually see something. I mean, to me, if I'm a governor, I want to know what you think so that we can actually make a good decision on something, not just sign it because a party wants you to sign it. Either side, either way, it has to be a discussion. Now, here's the other side of it too. A governor does have the ability to push bills through different groups, right? And there is the ability to work together to help push those things. But if I walk down to a chambers, if I'm governor, and go, you know what, Mr. Sullivan, you're not going to run that bill. And if you do, I'm going to veto it. And the other side of it is I want all of Colorado to actually see what this bill says, right? So we've got to set some stipulations too so people actually know what the bills are, when they're coming, and how it's going to affect them way before the night before when it's dropped. Because I'm dealing with that as a sheriff. It's dropped that day. And as a gubernatorial candidate, I'm tired of seeing those things.
Yeah. We are too, sir. We are too.
It's become the norm to expect to get hit with something new every day, to get an onslaught of attack against a civil right. And we were just having this conversation that it was 25 bills this legislative session have the word firearm in it.
With more to come, most likely, in the next 13 days.
So what do you think about that? Like, do you honestly think this ghost rumor of a armory bill is viable and that they can pass it? Because let's talk about it. We have the 1314 bill that they've passed through the House in 3 days. And if you think about how long it took us to get SB 250003 in that process, it's because we had a lot of pushback. I don't think they're getting much pushback on a lot of things right now at the Capitol.
People are
They're limiting pushback. And here's the problem. You've got a state attorney general that's not going to lift a finger to stop any of this, even if it is wrong, right?
Yeah.
You've got a governor that's going to sign things because his party wants him to. Mm-hmm. You've got a whole state Senate, and you've got a House that is going to pass things through just as fast as they can because they know it may be their last chance, because I think Colorado swings this next time, and they're not going to be happy with the results, right?
Do you think that's why they're doing this, sir? Do you think they're doubling down?
I think they're tripling down. It's not even a double down anymore. It's a triple down. Do I think this bill maybe exists? I think anything's possible at this point. Look, I didn't think some of these bills were going to come out this year that came out. It just keeps rolling. And then the next piece of it is, do I think it can pass? Absolutely. I mean, you got 3 levels of government that are limiting how much you can talk during these. They don't want to hear it from government or the commissioners or any of the other county spokesmen. They want to limit how many people are speaking to things. Look, I've sat 8-10 hours to wait to testify on something, and how many of us have all dealt with that?
Yeah.
So it could pass, and it can pass, and if they're going to push it, it will pass.
Have you noticed, and what is your perspective of when you head down to the Capitol? Because I've personally seen you sit on that panel with other sheriffs of other counties in unison saying, hey, stop this assault on the Second Amendment rights. We want our citizens armed. We can't be everywhere all the time. This helps ensure that our people have a right to stay alive and have a fighting chance. And they completely dismiss you. Why do you think that they have completely ignored the voices of law enforcement and sheriff? Because they usually would.
Yeah, if I remember correct, they did the sheriff's conference. I think there was 3 sheriffs in favor, and you could guess the counties that were in favor of SB 25003, and every single
Denver?
other sheriff. Yeah, you can
Boulder?
guess. Yeah. And every single other sheriff was against this bill, and they didn't listen. And multiple sheriffs came up to testify. It fell on deaf ears. They didn't care what law enforcement had to say. They only cared about their personal emotions and beliefs.
Do you feel that they want your support in other things, but completely deny your voice in only gun things?
I think they want our support to be able to ram things through, right? I don't think they care whether they have our support or not on something. There's this belief that we have that any group out there right now that goes up there has political capital, right? Well, political capital is given to you by a group that just wants to say, if you do what we say, we'll help you on the next bill. That's kind of baloney. They're not going to help you with any bill. No. They control the House, the Senate, and the governor, right? There is no political capital at this point. You just don't have it. I don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
The issue that I see right now is that they want to control a narrative. They want that narrative to be, well, law enforcement are with us, and if they aren't with us, then we're just going to shut it down. And that's where a governor has to be able to come forward and go, you're not giving a fair speech to any of these people, when we're not going to go forward with a bill. And that's what I want. And the whole reason I'm running for governor is that you have to have the gavel to say no, right? Yep. Because right now at our certain time in this state of Colorado, you have to have somebody that's not scared to say no.
You'll bring balance back to the state. You'll bring back bipartisanship to the state.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Even if they don't pass something this year, they're going to pass it next year. And even if you repeal it through lawsuit, even if you have it signed off on that bill, they're going to run another form of it.
Yeah.
So really, unless we take back part of the House, the Senate, and really the governor's office, you can expect this to be a constant storm on your two-way rights, your fees, your budget, your children, all those things. That what I remember as Colorado was a free Colorado for all of us. And I think everyone is getting sick of it. And I talk to more Democrats now and independents, and it just seems like everybody's ready for a change and they want to change. And I think that's why I'm appealing to a lot of people.
Yeah, you also see that the general American public tends to like a mixed government, so to speak. They tend to like some checks and balances where there has to be some type of bipartisan agreement in order to pass law. I think the biggest thing that we should be focusing on, yes, it's important for us to focus on the House and the Senate here in Colorado as well, but especially the governorship, because you have the power of veto, and they do not have 2/3 majority in those chambers, and they won't have 2/3 majority in those chambers. So I think if we have to put our eggs in a basket, it should be on the run for governor. It should be on getting a governor in there to curb that abuse of power that we're seeing in our legislature.
How do you think we can get you elected in counties like Denver, Boulder? For them, what do we need to do to appeal to that?
Well, I think I have to appeal to the independents also,
Yes, sir.
right? And I have to be a moderate, and I am a moderate. So here's the big thing I think in Boulder and all those areas. I think you will see a change in a lot of those areas. You may not win them totally, but I think you do win enough votes that you can change Colorado. I am in those areas, and I will be speaking in a lot of those areas. And the thing about it is travel around talking to the common person and having those discussions, not just party lines, is a big piece to that. You still have to be within the party. I do like the Republican Party. That's why I'm running as a Republican governor. But I think that people want somebody that is nice, they're normal, and they're reasonable. And I think that's the big piece that we have to be in the Republican Party, and understand that the Republican Party used to be the party of freedom. And you've had really a false narrative changing that. And that's really what's hurt us the most. So we have to be able to speak up through shows like yours and others, because try to break through the Denver media area. That's a hard one. And if you're in different media zones, it can be very tough to get your messages out in all of those. So that's why I'm out there and I'm talking to everyone. I'm driving places. I'm doing what I need to do to be able to spread that message.
Well, we know Colorado, we've talked a little bit about it in tonight's episode, is Colorado is hurting as far as crime is concerned. I think we're number 2 or 3 for car thefts in the United States. Are we up to
Number
one?
one.
Number 1. One of the top 3 for rape, all kinds of things. It would be great to have a law enforcement officer in charge of our state to bring some law and order back to the state, because as of right now, we're lawless. It's bad. It's getting bad, worse and worse. I see people moving out of state that have means and money because they don't want to deal with it anymore.
And a little bit of respect for the office again. I think Jared Polis has made a mockery of this position. He's made a mockery of his power, and it's becoming embarrassing.
I mean, if Jared Polis was actually forced to live in Denver, I think things would probably be a little different. Instead, he goes home to Boulder every day.
He can't live in Denver because his husband can't spend the night in the governor's mansion because it's against the law. It's against the rules.
There's a law in the books about that, but
You have to only be husband and wife to be able to stay in the governor's
regardless
mansion.
of that, whether I agree with it or not. But
that's why he doesn't stay there.
Might be one of the reasons.
So I think we have a quick message from one of our sponsors coming up here. Stick with us. We're going to get back to some words from the sheriff here in just one moment.
Absolutely. Stay tuned.
Well, hello everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. I gotta go finish this.
Good.
When is the election? When is the election? Does anybody know? When we're back. We're horrible at having commercials.
We're horrible at the
apparently,
commercials.
because we've never been important enough to have them until now, which is really great. So thank you very much for that. It was LUTF Studio. We really
And
appreciate
promo
that.
code the2ND, THE2ND.
Woo! We're like somebody now. So when exactly is the election for the governor's race?
Well, you have your state assembly and primary next year. I believe it's March or May, and then you'll have your November ballot. So, but the hard part is you got to get the funding now. And then the other side is how many Republicans will say, "Oh, well, everything's after the primary," and I'm like, "You've already lost. If you wait till the primary, you've already lost."
Yeah, you have to have that funding lined up in advance to be a serious candidate and actually win.
Absolutely, and that's why we're standing up funding
Especially,
mechanisms.
I mean, who do we have running on the Democrat side? I think we have Wiseman, right? If I remember
Weiser.
correct. Weiser.
Weiser.
All right.
Wiser, yeah.
Weiser. And who else is announced? I know that there was talks of.
Please don't say her
Okay,
name.
I won't say her name. But she ended up running for his old seat, so there must have been a little bit of an agreement there for that.
Well, people don't understand the power of the DA and of the Attorney General too, and they kind of work together. And from what we've been told is, so a lot of things that are going right now in Colorado, people want to call on Pam Bondi. Everybody's like, call on Pam Bondi to come here and help save us and rescue us, but we still have a attorney that needs to be able to work with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that that's really going to happen until we have that seat appointed here in Colorado. And I don't really have high hopes of having somebody that's going to be in that position.
Yeah, well, she has she's running with multi-millions that she raised off of being anti-Trump and wasting millions of state taxpayer dollars to go after Trump and try to keep him off the ballot. So it's going to be hard to have someone beat her in that role, unfortunately.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about your perspective on what it's going to take to win a lot of these districts and what your perspectives on a lot of these topics are to show people that indeed you're not this right-wing, crazy, extremist, hard R that I think a lot of people assume that you are because you are a sheriff.
Well, and I think, I don't know if it's because I'm a sheriff. I will tell you I am hard on the 2A issues, right? But I do believe that people have the right to choose what they want to do with their lives. And that's been the hard part, is having people understand that, you don't have to follow, or you have the freedom to make a decision in the party as to what you feel, what you believe, right? And we saw that in the last year with really the Republican Party went through a really hard time. And it's starting to get back on track, and it's going the right direction. And that's my hope, is it continues in that direction. What it's going to win this state is really talking about issues. I started my campaign with, I'm not going to talk about social issues. I'm not a social issue type of guy. I want to see a candidate that actually talks about what's happening with our water, what's happening with our electrical grid, because we about 5 years before the federal government said that we really have a failing grid in this state. Yeah. We've taken away oil and gas. We need it back. We need to be talking about how we're going to get our kids to where parents actually are able to have the say and the final say on what happens to their children in schools, right? No matter all the other issues, it's the parents' rights to make those decisions. So there's a lot of those issues that really need to be talked about, not the social issues in Colorado. And
100% constitutional, fiscal. And I know you talked a little bit to us about it. Would I be characterizing you correct to say that you would be socially libertarian and constitutionally conservative and fiscally conservative? Would that be fair?
I think so. I truly think Coloradoans should be able to make a decision for themselves where they want to sit with things.
Hallelujah.
Give the power back to the people, sir. Give it back.
And that's the thing people don't realize too, is the state has taken so much authority away from counties and elected officials. And really, your first line of defense is your elected officials. And if your county decides that they want to go more towards the left, well, then that's their prerogative. But if your county decides it wants to be more towards the right, that's their prerogative.
And you can vote for that
be in the middle
in those counties. You have more control over that local government than you do over this large state bureaucracy centralized in the city-state of Denver. So
yeah. Well, and we call it a Denver legislature for those reasons, right?
Yes, sir.
Everything in your life is being legislated out of a Denver belief and a Denver what they see. And that's the serious problem with this. Look, you've got Democrats right now that are pushing to become a governor who want to fight the current administration. They want to fight all these things.
That's not going to do anything good for Colorado.
Behind, but yet 40% of the Colorado state budget comes from federal funding, which is now at risk. And what they don't realize, that federal funding deals with feeding the homeless. That's That's food lines. Those are places because I'm having to help in my area do food drives because
sir.
the state government has now kind of dropped off and they're not assisting people.
Well,
So all those assistance things that they talk about as Democrat side, they're killing. And it's just amazing to me. They're killing it. Republicans are going, hey, we need to keep some of these because we need to help populations in our communities. So
yeah, it's hard for someone like President Trump to keep Space Force here in Colorado Springs when you have the governor of our state and the legislator of our state essentially spitting in his face and unwilling to work with him in any way. We need somebody that can work with the federal government. Like you said, 30% of our funds, 30% of our things coming into the state, federal funding, it's huge for the state of Colorado. And then that doesn't, I don't know if that even includes the residual, like income tax from those employees and property tax and all the other things associated with bringing those industries and those jobs here to Colorado.
yeah,
Shout out to Zach Attack. He donated $10 in a super chat on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. For all of you out there that are watching, we are a 501c4. We are the only news and media channel that is also a 501c4, which means 50% of every dollar that we raise goes directly to ensuring that the Second Amendment is preserved
Two-way
and
efforts.
defended here in the state of Colorado. So thank you so much for everybody out there. I don't care if you donate a quarter or if you donate $1 million. Every dime that you send our way really helps support us and keeps us being able to produce these shows and provide these shows to the public and have more free speech, because right now this is the narrative that nobody wants you to hear. They don't want you to know that we have a moderate Colorado native who cares about bringing the people back to power in Colorado. All you're going to see is the focus on the Dems that are running their campaign because they have that money. So thank you for supporting this channel.
Honestly, he's the ultimate threat to the Democratic establishment establishment here in Colorado. And guys, we will make sure that we have the link up for the sheriff's political campaign. For those of you who want to donate to him, please, I'll be donating to him personally. I hope some of y'all will as well. We need to fund his campaign. We need this man in office. We need to bring balance back to Colorado.
So it's
He's the man to do it.
www.mikesell4gov.com.
Let's get him elected.
if you want, just go to Mikesell4gov. It'll pop it right up.
There you go.
Right on. So tell us a little bit more about some other concerns that you have about this race and what we can do as the people to help support you to get you elected.
I think here's the big thing with my website, share it, right? Share our Facebook link. I need more people like you that are talking about it. And that's how we get it out. I think the biggest thing in Colorado for races is podcasters right now. You know, I think you guys are doing the lion's share of the work at getting information out there to people so that they can understand where candidates are really coming from. Donate. There's only one way to win in this state is that you have to have funds to be able to win. And I think getting that information out there, and then for folks that want to, go and get on your state representative side for the Republican Party. Make your voice heard, get in those organizations, and really start to go to your state assemblies and to do those things, because really that's what controls which candidates go where. And I think that's important for people to understand. You want great candidates, then you need to get involved in making sure you get great candidates. And that's something I've seen over my career. Because look, the House is made up sometimes of folks that have never even had a job. That really, they're choosing how your lifestyle is going to be. And these folks, I don't know that I would hire them in my businesses. And being an entrepreneur, my wife and I have, I don't know how many businesses, right? She owns bar restaurants, and sometimes I'm the dishwasher for her. I like to stay humble, so I like to do whatever she needs. And really what I found in life is that for us in Colorado to stand up and take our Colorado back. And that's why my slogan is I want my Colorado back, because I want your Colorado back too. And to do that, we have got to get moving.
You know what? I'll make a commitment tonight. For every dollar that comes in through Super Chats on YouTube tonight and other channels that we're streaming on, I will match that towards the sheriff's campaign. So make sure you donate tonight, guys. Every dollar you send to the Second Syndicate, I will be matching that in kind out of my personal account towards the sheriff's campaign for governor.
Thank you so much for being able to make the time for us. I know that you're a very busy man. We see you all over running around and doing everything that you're doing. So we really appreciate that you cared enough to come to our show. We really want to open this up, not just to Colorado 2A, but Colorado freedom. And I think that's the importance of being armed, is we are protecting our freedoms. We're protecting our rights to say no and our rights to believe what we want to believe and live how we want to live, without the overreach of government, without being force-fed narratives, without worrying if they're going to take our kids from us because they show them a picture of a gun in school and say, if you have this in your home, we're calling the cops, and red flagging parents, or taking away parental rights. So, if you disagree with your child's choices, they can come in and take your kids. All of these things all come back to the gun, because the gun is the only thing that succinks your right to say no and to protect your family, provide for your family. And you're absolutely right when you talk about Denver is controlling an entire state of people. And what I want to say to everybody out there is, if you are in Colorado and you are not in Denver, you are way behind the 8 ball of getting involved in local politics. And you should absolutely start reaching out to people like the sheriff and seeing if you can get involved. If you don't have the money, volunteer, help with things of that nature, help spread the word, help share content like this, and share his campaign to people and let them know that, hey, we do have the ability for the pendulum to swing the other side. Yes, it's very far blue right now, but we can take it back and we can return to the road to red, and we can return to liberty. And I think that it's very important that we start helping each other to educate one another and put up big good guys like this in office so we can get some legitimacy and sanity back into government.
Absolutely. We just had a $20 super chat from Alex the Truck that says, "Open that wallet, Teddy." You got it, Alex. That money's going right to our gubernatorial candidate here. So will happen. Thank you very much for that donation.
Thank
Round of
you,
applause
Alex.
in the chat for Alex the Truck. Sir, you mentioned it earlier, turnout is key. I know that there was a representative, one of our good friends on the show, in fact, that won by 3 votes for that House seat last legislative session. And so if people out there are thinking their vote doesn't matter, it does. I was doing the math with some of my political friends, and I think it's something around 25,000 votes would flip the state from blue to red in the general election. It's just, we're so gerrymandered that we have to have turnout in the right areas. So I encourage you, if you're not registered to vote, you're watching the show tonight, go register to vote. If you're worried about machines and all that stuff, show up, ask for a paper ballot, file it in the box. I do it every year to make sure my vote's counted. I understand the concern. Show up and vote. Make sure you're there, and make sure you read through all the propositions. You have no idea how many people that come into my store that are surprised about this 6.5% excise tax that didn't know it was on the ballot, and they did vote. They could have voted against that, but they didn't read the propositions. They didn't go through the propositions. It's a lot. It's a lot of people, and there are people that could have voted no against this and killed that proposition. So guys, show up to vote. Make sure you get politically involved. Make sure you follow the people that are running for these state positions, especially for governor, especially for the House and the Senate, and support them. They need your support. With your support and with your vote, they can succeed.
And so we want to say thank you to everybody that's watching and supporting the show and helping us spread our message. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Go to X America News, follow them. Follow us on all our platforms on X. I'm at Boomstick Babe. Follow Teddy at Colorado 2A King. Follow at the Second Syndicate on X. Follow us on Instagram at all the same stuff. You can always make sure to go to YouTube, hit the subscribe, hit the bell. That way you get notifications and
the
support
bell's
us.
important. Otherwise, since we're a 2A channel, you're not going to get notifications unless you ring that bell.
Because there's a significant effort to shadow ban and closet our voices, but we are getting stronger and we're getting out there, and we have to have conversations like this. We're going to have another guest that's also a Sheriff Roybal of El Paso County on our special feature tomorrow. And so look out for that. There's a lot of controversy regarding some new policies that people are attacking him, and we want to set the record straight. So be sure to tune in for that.
Yeah, I know
And
Royal
also-
Ball personally. He's a good dude. He's pro 2A. I think some of the stuff is asinine that people are saying, so we're going to give him a chance to clear that up.
He's fought with me shoulder to shoulder on a lot of these bills. I think.
Yes, he was at every single testimony, sir. And I know you were at a lot of them as well. So it's good to have pro 2A sheriffs like you guys.
And I want to break this narrative that, all cops are bad, all law enforcement are bad. And let's be real here, folks. Many of you out there that are like, oh, we hate the cops, because trust me, I'm not fond of overreach either. But these people are put in place to be peacekeepers, to be guiders of peace, and to be overseers, and
They're
to
the
support
sheepdog
us.
protecting us all from the wolves.
Yes, and they're empowering us to stay armed. So make sure that you're doing your research. You're not judging every book by its cover, and taking the time to educate yourself on who's doing what and their history of how they vote and what they have supported in the past. It's time to start thinking for yourselves and stop trusting what everybody says. Right now, it's a pinnacle moment in Colorado. If they can get away with what they're doing here, they can get away with it everywhere. And we have to push back. We have to stand our ground, and we have to say no. For everybody out there that says you should just move, you should abandon Colorado. I'm a plaintiff in a gun case. My good buddy right here, my business partner, they own a gun shop. We're knee deep in this. We're too hard to go and tuck our tails in and run away. And we're doing this for the elderly. We're doing this for the handicapped. We're doing this for the poverty stricken. We're doing this for the people that truly need these rights and need this education and need this empowerment. So if you see us doing it, each one teach one, share the message, support people like Sheriff Mikesell, and register to vote.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It would be easy for me to pick up and move shop out of state, guys. I mean, but I'm standing and fighting because I know that if I run now, there will be no place to run eventually. This is coming to a state near you. Stand and fight, support Colorado, support this man right here for governor, and let's make some real change occur in the state.
And just because you're not in Colorado doesn't mean that you can't support. You can donate to the Second Syndicate, which we are. You can donate to Sheriff Mikesell's campaign and help us. Hey, if you are out there and you are a big money maker and you are a hardcore pro 2A and you're sick and tired of seeing what's going on in Colorado, come buy up some property here. Come change things. Come throw some money behind us and help support us, because it's time that we have reinforcements come in and big us up.
Yes, someone just made a comment, and I want to be clear about this. I don't want to go into too much detail of this because I don't want retribution from this company. But they said, forget about it. Dominion is running the elections in Colorado. I want to be clear. You can request a paper ballot in almost every single county in the state of Colorado. I do it every single year. I prefer a paper ballot. I prefer doing it in person because I've had my ballot thrown out before for a mismatched signature where I received the notification after it was too late to appeal it. So I make sure every year to go in person to verify with my ID, grab a paper ballot, and fill out that paper ballot. You have that option. If you're worried about computer electronic voting or something of that nature, go do it in person.
Your voice does matter.
Your voice does matter.
Absolutely.
Well, we're coming to a close of our show here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we
I'm
can
like,
keep
I
going
always-
if you guys want.
I
mean,
always forget, time. I get caught up in conversation. Let's talk a little bit about guns. Let's talk about some guns. So we're obviously very pro 2A here, and I say this all the time. I tell people guns are the gateway drug to freedom. And you know a lot of Democrats. I am imploring people out there, if you are a liberal, if you are a Democrat, we are a sanctuary company. The Second Syndicate welcomes you. We don't care about that stuff. We think that once you start really getting involved with people with guns, you're going to change your political views anyway. But we would love to see more involvement from the Libertarian Party, from the liberal people, from the Democratic people. Let's open up a Democratic gun club if it's out there. Let's start getting more people involved.
How about this? Let's take the politics out of the 2A and let's create a nonpartisan gun club. I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care if you're gay, trans. I don't care. As long as you're pro 2A, let's make it for everyone. Let's create the big open tent we need to fight back against anti-2A bills and laws.
You know, I think we have that now with the Second Syndicate. We are a community that welcomes everybody here. And, reach out to us. Head to thesecondsyndicate.com. Send us your email. Reach out. Say, hey, how can I volunteer? We need volunteers. We need people to donate their time. We need street media teams. We need content people. If you have a skill set and you want to bring it to the team, come on down. We support people like Sheriff Mikesell. We want to be involved in hosting more events and getting more things done.
Just look at what we've been able to accomplish with 5 people. Imagine what we could be able to accomplish with an army.
I know.
I mean, rallies, legislative updates, testimonies, everything you can imagine this legislative session, events. imagine
proud
what we
of
could do
us.
with a huge,
I'm proud
a
of
much
us.
larger team.
And it's a huge compliment to me that we have people like yourself show up to our rally to speak. So we'll revisit that and we'll talk a little bit about guns. This legislative session, we've been constantly under attack. Like I said, there's about 25 bills right now that have the word firearm in it, and SB 25003 has passed. The governor has signed it, but it was one of the most egregious bills that the United States has ever seen. So by the hair on our chins, by flying by the seat of our pants, Teddy and I and a lot of our sponsors, our media team, we were able to put together a rally in 4 or 5 days?
5 days.
Down, at the Colorado State Capitol. And we got about 135 people or so to show up. And
to be fair, we had planned a longer rally and more people did show up, but they gavelled into session in the middle of the rally and we had to rush inside right as we were getting started. It was an interesting time, but we had a really good turnout.
And we had, Sheriff Darren Weekly of Douglas County come out. We had Sheriff Mikesell come out. We had a couple of other sheriffs come out. We had legislators come out to the steps and talk. We had Melissa from Dragon Man's come out. We had Big Timber Lodge come out and speak at the Capitol steps.
We had the Libertarian Party, the Republican Party. We brought together a political coalition that normally doesn't work together.
We had a Republican furry
that was
come
weird.
out.
To each his own.
I'm proud of that. I'm proud that people from all different walks of life trust us enough and support what we're doing enough to come out, because we really need to get away from this narrative that guns are a partisan issue. They're not. It is a community issue. It is a civil right. We want to welcome people into that. And this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of money. So if you want to get that guy in office, we want to get this guy into office, please donate to his campaign. Help that. Reach out, see what we can do. I would love to be of service to get you, in that office. We are having you on our show because we want people to be aware of your campaign and help support it. This is the way we can contribute. And we welcome all people to, reach out and see what they want to do to help change this narrative of what's happening in Colorado. Keep the faith, guys. Keep the hope. Don't feel defeated. Don't give in to defeat. Don't go silently into the darkness of the night. Fight, fight, fight. Keep the liberty alive. So on that,
we've got about 2,000 people watching on X right now live, and a little around 100 on our different YouTube channels, and of course a couple hundred on Facebook, etc. watching. Those of you who are watching, make sure you share this video. Make sure you retweet this on X, formerly known as Twitter. Make sure you like the post as well. All of that helps with the algorithm. Remember, we're fighting an uphill battle here.
So somebody in the comments said, "Hey, Mikesell, we need to get some Mikesell merch." So if there's, do you have any merch that we could get and share and promote?
We're actually working on that. The I Want My Colorado Back is really caught fire. We're talking about hats and shirts and bumper stickers. And I have a lady in Montrose, Colorado. Her name's Pam Brown. She's running a car show piece where they have a flag, and she's actually making me a flag. So there's so many amazing people out there. So but the thing is, I've only been doing this for about 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
We didn't know how fast this campaign was going to take off. We thought it'd be a slow build like a lot of campaigns. And this has been a rocket ship.
You had a really good turnout at Woodland Park, right? You just had a rally, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, we had about 180 people show up from all over the state.
Nice.
We have one in Montrose getting ready to stand up. You can find them on our website. But what I've really found is that it's just taken off. It's been amazing the amount of people that want us to talk in different places. So, I'm super happy about that. But it's almost like when I had to scale a company that I made at one point or build in a very quick amount of time, and it feels like I'm scaling a company again. It's happening so fast. So it's a beautiful thing, but we're super excited. But yes, we'll have some merchandise out for people here soon.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Looking forward to it, sir.
I appreciate that. So let's talk about the cool stuff. Now, guns. We love guns. We are a gun company. We are a gun advocacy group. What is your favorite EDC gun? What is your holy grail gun? Like if money didn't matter, government didn't matter, what would be your holy grail gun? And also give us a quote that we can remember you by and add to our collection of knowledge from all of our great guests.
Well, I'll tell you, I love firearms. I'm a 1911 fan now because I'm a sheriff, right? So I run almost every day because it's 45 caliber, it's God's caliber. But I also I like a staccato. I carry a staccato too. A 2011 is big for me. I've carried a Glock in more places than I can even remember, a Glock 17. And really, the little carry gun that I carry now for every day it's a SIG.
Which
It's a
one?
small SIG. I think it's the
365.
Yep, that's it. It's 365. Yep, and I love it. It's just a great little carry gun.
Well, just
60
remember, Sheriff, 45 is great, but 10 millimeter is the best millimeter.
I still think
say
the
that.
proper comment is to say 10 millimeter is God's caliber. I think it is. I prefer it. We were actually talking about 10 millimeter earlier with our representative, our producer from Ex America News, and he's like, you really got to get into the ballistics of it, and hollow points are really hard to come by. And we got deep down in this rabbit hole about 10
You
millimeter.
give me a box of Underwood 10 millimeter with like 200 and something grains, I'm good to go.
Yeah, but 10 millimeter is hard to find in a higher grain now for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's a whole other
I'm a big
story.
fan of the Underwood, but a 45 caliber plus P.
There you go. That's
So
good.
let's move.
Are
There's
there
some hot
any
lows out there. There's
there
45
any-
Win Mag too.
Is there any pistol caliber carbines that shoot 45 plus P?
Well,
Like
I
a
mean, you
Chris
have
Vector?
you have the civilian version of the UMP from HK, the USC, that can handle plus P rounds if I remember correct.
A 45?
Yeah, 45. Let me think what else.
If anybody's out there and wants a CMMG, is that what you're
Oh,
saying?
Chris
CMMG?
Vector. Chris Vector.
That's what I just said, Vector.
Yeah.
Dur,
Oh, my bad.
dur, hello.
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. But, I'm interested in getting a bigger caliber when it comes to. I love the Vector platform. So, we also take gun donations here at the Second Syndicate. If you guys love us, send us guns.
Well,
We are
I'll be
an
honest,
FFL, Spartan Defense,
I'm a
Colorado
big
Springs.
long distance rifle fan too.
Nice.
I like super accurate rifles. I did that. I was a SWAT team commander for multiple years. I worked on the scout sniper team for many years.
What's the furthest distance you ever shot, sir, if you don't mind me asking?
1,200 meters. I think
Okay.
that was probably my longest shots. But I tell you, I'd much rather
Rookie.
shoot.
Just kidding.
It's 1,000 meters for me, so you've
pretty good.
You've gone beyond me, sir. That's awesome. And it was all set up for me with an Accuracy International, so it was pretty easy to do. but
Yep.
12
Those
anything
rank
past
force.
1,000
Yep.
without the right gear is tough.
It's tough. It's really tough. Yep.
Sir. And to see that bullet arc and that trail coming behind it and that point of impact shift and everything that happens at that distance is it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's addicting.
I think we're going to host a couple more. I mean, spring has sprung here in Colorado. It's beautiful outside. We want to do some more outdoor shooting, and we've been talking about hosting some more events. We had an event with Lily Tang Williams that we threw together very quickly, and it was very successful, and we're getting a lot of feedback that people want to do
More
some more
things like
shooting
that.
events, and we're going to get that, and we're going to bring that to you. The more you guys donate, the more you support, the more we're able to do that, because like I said, the Second Syndicate is a 501c4, so 50% of every dollar that we raise goes to political activism and to helping support the Second Amendment, to creating ballot initiatives, to procuring candidates for certain soft areas that we know that we could flip a seat, as well as campaigning. We want to help donate to campaigns to see people in districts get an R or an independent or somebody who's pro 2A in that seat. We don't care if you're a Democrat. If you're pro 2A, get at us, because we want to help you, because our issue is making sure that we're protecting the civil right to self-defense for all people. So
Yeah,
if you have somebody that ran also unopposed in your district, guess what? You should run then.
You should
'Cause
run.
chances
Challenge
are
them.
You can
One
take that
third.
seat.
1/3 of the seats were appointments, if I remember correct, this legislative session. That's ridiculous.
It's embarrassing.
That's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. People need to step up. They need to be leaders. They need to hear the call, and they need to run for office.
Awesome. So is there anything that you would like to share with us while we wrap up, Sheriff?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, because those appointments, they're bound to the party because they are appointments and they're trying to win those seats. So that has really hurt the Democratic Party too. I think that those are people.
Yeah, I think every single appointment was a Democrat in those districts. Every single one.
Socialist,
1/3 were
communist
appointed.
leaning.
And if you deal
Yeah,
with those,
Tim Hernandez was appointed.
they're hard. Yeah, they're hard to deal with. They don't want to listen, right? So, and they're all on the committees. They call them kill committees for a reason. So
Yeah.
I think to wrap it up for me, I just want to say thank you so much, because your shows are that is the backbone to getting information out now in Colorado. I think you're doing an amazing job. I'll tell you this too. I want to be your governor because I want to bring common sense back to Colorado. I think a common sense Colorado is really what we need, and being reasonable is really the best thing that we could ask for. but really as a ending, just a common sense Colorado for a common person. That's what we
Thank
need.
you.
Yes, sir.
That's what
Thank you
makes
very much.
me very happy to support you, is because I'm a Colorado native. I grew up here. I'm 5 generations Colorado native. And it makes me very proud to see someone like you that they have a history here. You didn't just come here and you don't understand the way of life here. And my favorite uncle, like I said, was the retired captain of Denver. So I have an affinity for good men in positions of authority that want to care for the people and empower people rather than govern the people and rule the people. So I appreciate that. And I mean, thank you very much for giving us your time to be on our show. We hope to bring more people of your caliber onto the show in future. And you are always welcome back here. You have an open invitation. If there's anything you would ever like to share or information you'd like to share with us, let us know. I'm also on Kim Munson. The Second Syndicate is also on KLZ 560 AM radio every Friday morning at 7:10 Mountain Standard Time live. We will also be a special feature this Monday at 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Monday. So take a look at that. You can also hit the links in our bio and our link trees to find links to those things as well. And I would like to also ask if it's okay if we put a link to your campaign in our link so people could find that and they could donate to you as well.
Absolutely. I think that'd be wonderful.
Wonderful.
Absolutely, sir. Hope to work hand in hand with you and get you elected as governor here in the state of Colorado.
Well, you
We really
remember
appreciate
the
you
cool
coming on.
people when you got power.
Us little folk.
I don't forget. Believe me, I don't forget.
Well, God bless you, sir, and God bless the great state of Colorado. Thank you again for spending your time coming on our show tonight and getting this information out to the good people of Colorado and the rest of the United States. Best of luck to you on your run for governor, and thank you guys for tuning in tonight on the Second Syndicate. Make sure you share, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We love you all, and we'll see you here next week.
Peace, everyone. Thank you so much. Good night.